Hi, my friends. Teresa Lisum here. I am going it alone today. Linda was not able to join because of a health thing that just happened. So you're going to have to just listen and watch me. And I'm not going to be looking at a report today. I'm going to be talking about how each domain or each theme would handle a particular problem. So we're going to just try something different today. I am a self-worth coach. I use the CliftonStrengths assessment results as the framework for my coaching process. This this assessment allows us to really look at what we're really good at naturally, innately. It comes very, very easily to us and really hone that, enhance that, lean into that, embrace that, and use those strengths that we now have an awareness of and that we know we're really good at, really use those to shine and step into the next chapter of our life, really use these strengths, these superpowers in all areas of our lives to help us improve our relationships, improve our career or business, improve our health. We can apply it to so many areas of our life. So we're just going to kind of review what those categories, those themes are that everybody falls into. So you're going to get your strength report results. It's going to give you a whole list of 34 because you are going to take the full and open up the full report, not just the five. You want to get all 34. Costs a little bit more initially, but if you do it later, if you buy five now and open up the rest later, it is going to cost you even more. So get the full 34 report right off the bat. And that allows us to see your top 10, your zone of genius. And it also allows us to really see patterns and see what energizes you, what allows you to be more productive, what allows you to feel and be efficient, be your authentic self more often than not. So the full 34 is what you want to go with. So when we have that full report, we look at your top 10, count them up, insert them into the categories where we know they belong. And those four categories are relationship builder, influencer, executor, and strategic thinker. So everybody's going to have one that's dominant. So when you have three or more strengths that fall into any of those categories, that category is very important to you. If you have four in a particular category, it's even more important to you. If you have five in that category, it's really, really important to you. So we just add them up. Many, many people have a pretty close to even split, but there's always going to be one theme, one category that kind of is the one that you lean into the most frequently. But those people that have a more of an even split, they can easily flow back and forth between the different categories. I have five relationship building strengths, so I'm a dominant relationship builder. My secondary domain, which I have three or four, I can't remember off the top of my head, is strategic thinking. So I lead with connecting with people. That energizes me. I feel really productive and efficient, and my creativity kicks in more when I'm working and brainstorming and collaborating with other people. That's why Linda's missing today. And I feel like, I'm not as going to be as efficient possibly as when she's here. I like bantering back and forth. Something that other person says, such as Linda, sparks something in my head. So I do better in collaboration. Strategic thinking is my secondary domain. So I love to think. I spend time up here I love to read. I love to research. I love to gather information. And I use that information to share with those I love to connect with. So they work together very, very well, but it's more important to me to connect with people than it is to think and analyze and collect data. But when they go hand in hand together, I'm really at my best. I'm really energized. So, relationship building is all about people connecting. Strategic thinking is about thinking and things taking place up in your head, being creative, learning, teaching, possibly. An influencer, it's not an influencer as we know the definition in social media, but a person who is high in the influencing domain. This person loves to move people forward. So they love taking a group of people, even one person, and moving them from point A to point B, and they can see all the steps in between. And that is energizing for them when they can move people forward to an end goal, to a vision in a way that they think is the best way possible. So that really lights up an influencer. And then the fourth category is executor. And that is a person who loves to get things done. Do. Jump in and do. Take action. And then think about it more later or figure it out on the fly. But they're more of a doer. Then maybe they'll think about it and do some more planning later, but they will figure it out in the moment. And again, you can have that as a dominant domain, or you can have it as a secondary domain. So that's the general overview of each one of those. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about how each one of those categories, those themes, I like to call them domains, would handle a particular issue based on how they think and their lineup of strengths. So I just picked procrastination, putting things off. We all tend to do that at some point in time. Some of us may more so than others, but if we understand our domain, our dominant domain, it could possibly move us through that procrastination a lot faster. So somebody that's a high executor, meaning they love to do, take action, and then ask for forgiveness later. A person of high executing loves to create lists and make their plans and maybe really explore the obstacles that might be in the way and try to figure out how to minimize those obstacles. So this person is very task oriented. So one of their approaches, or several of their approaches to moving through procrastination, could be that they really develop a highly structured schedule for themselves with time blocks. And each time block and each task is placed into this schedule. And if they can see what they need to do and the steps they need to take, that could break that procrastination. They could, get a really detailed calendar. Make sure they're always planning things on their paper planner or on their digital calendar. They might need some software that really is going to be a detailed step-by-step flow, a plan to get them to their goals. They like that. They like checking off everything that they do as they move forward. They love clear, measurable goals for completing the task. So those checking off those measurable steps takes them closer to that finished product, and that just really lights them up. So that's why having a clear, trackable schedule is going to be helpful for anybody that's a high executor and needs to get things done, and for some reason they might procrastinate. I find it hard to believe that a executor would procrastinate, but they possibly might on certain projects that they're not too thrilled to get done. They could um, hold themselves accountable by publicly saying, I'm going to do this by this date, and then share with the public, possibly on social media, what they're doing every day to get to that goal that they shared publicly. So that's one way a high executor can overcome procrastination. And they just, that drive, that visibility is really going to pull them forward. Maybe it's just an accountability partner or a group of people in their own personal world that they want to be held accountable to. So just checking things off is going to be really helpful for a dominant executor. Now, a person of high influencing who might be trying to move through some procrastination as quickly as possible, they would, again, want to take some immediate action to break through that initial, stuckness and just go. Like they might use Mel Robbins' 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go concept, or they might just have an alarm or just some action indicator to just get up and go and not even think about it. That could be one thing that a high influencer could do. Their high influencers could use their energy, enthusiasm to motivate themselves as if they were motivating another person or a group of people. They could maybe visualize themselves moving from point A to point B. Maybe they need to gather a group of people to move through this particular project with them. So they might need to reach out possibly to somebody else. These are all possible choices. Of course, it all depends on each individual person. Influencer could set some short-term deadlines for themselves, similar to an executor, but they could act as if they're in competition with somebody else. They could even invite somebody to be part of this group of this competition to move them forward. That might be fun for them. An influencer, can use that competition to motivate themselves to move themselves forward. Let's see. Just talking about what they need to do could be motivating enough to just, again, it's that verbalizing and speaking to another person, whether it be a group or an individual, can hold them accountable as well. And that put some external pressure on an influencer to get the job done, to complete the task. I am not an influencer in terms of my strengths. That doesn't mean I don't influence. It just means I have trouble thinking like an influencer because that's not my superpowers. Now, relationship building, that is my dominant domain, and that is my part of my superpowers lineup. So I can think very easily as a relationship builder. So if I was trying to overcome procrastination, which I admit does happen, I would need to really get others involved. I would invite them to do it with me or talk about it to them and have them reflect back to me, maybe encouraging me or helping me figure out how I'm going to get to that end result and move through that procrastination. A relationship builder, and I could see myself doing this, breaking it down into small baby steps and really having somebody else move through those baby steps with me. A friend of mine just reached out today and wanted to know if I wanted to read a particular book chapter and do the activities in it with her. Yeah, I would love to do that. Would I do them on my own? I would, but I'd do it grudgingly and it wouldn't be as fun for me. But if I could do it with other people, then yeah, that's really energizing to me and fun. That's why I'm working on creating an evolving women community, women who we all are accountable to each other, supportive of each other, uplifting each other, surrounding each other with positive, high frequency vibrations and good feelings. So if you're interested in being part of my Evolving Women community, please leave a comment or reach out to me because I'm a relationship builder. I love that. I work best with like-minded people. And I decide, as all relationship builders do, who those right people are for them. People that are uplifting and pulling me in a positive direction. A relationship builder could think about how completing tasks or getting to that end result is going to positively impact relationships and connections and contribute to the team. So if they attach that end goal that they're procrastinating to achieve, if they, you know, think about how it's positively going to affect others, that could get them motivated in a bigger way. A relationship builder might really need to create their environment to be very comfortable and supportive and minimize their distractions and give themselves some focus time. Again, if you want to give yourself some focus time, maybe you could create, sometimes they call them power hours, where everybody's working together on Zoom or in a office setting, all in their own projects, but yet they're all together and they're kind of sharing ideas during that focus time. And then they, at the end, they share what they've accomplished. That would be great for a relationship builder. Just having another person or several people in the vicinity or on Zoom and we're all working together, that is energizing to a relationship builder, even if we're all working on different tasks. Just being in the presence of others gives us, as a relationship builder, a sense of shared activity. So it's all about enjoying those connections. Now, if you're a high strategic thinker, which that's my secondary domain, so I love to think, I love to learn, I love to create. I love to think deeply on things. It's just not as important as connecting with people. But a person of high strategic thinking strengths, they might want to analyze and research their reasons for procrastinating and really dive into the whole concept of procrastination and maybe identify, obstacles and develop strategies to overcome those obstacles. So this type of thinker, this strategic thinker, is going to be more analytical, possibly, about tackling that procrastination and how to get to that end result in the fastest way possible. Again, they could break their tasks into smaller chunks, into baby steps, and they could try to really figure out the most efficient series of steps to get to that end result, to break through that procrastination. They might require a more detailed plan than, say, an influencer would, or maybe even a relationship builder. The strategic thinker might really want a detailed, more minute way of breaking through that procrastination and getting to that end result. They like to remove any unknown obstacles and variables. They could use, especially a person of high futuristic, they could envision the long-term benefits of completing that task and moving through that procrastination and using that vision to motivate themselves forward. They could just really sit and brainstorm creative solutions. Boom, boom, boom. How can I overcome this procrastination? I did my research. I got all the information I need. Boom, boom, boom. Let's just brainstorm it out. What I could use to move through this procrastination faster. What time management techniques could I use? How can I change my work environment? So they're more like planning, thinking, researching, then taking the action, and then, oh, yeah, this is okay. I'm ready. I'm ready to go. So a strategic thinker would probably be finding a variety of creative ways of moving through the procrastination, taking those actions, and maybe finding the most efficient way of moving through it, procrastination and getting to that task. So those are all the different approaches somebody with influencing is their dominant domain. Strategic thinking, relationship building, or executing might handle moving through procrastination, getting to the other side, getting those tasks, that project completed. You probably notice there's some overlap. So some of those things were not unique to that particular domain, which is fine, but we just we all approach life differently. And that is really an awesome understanding to have, that we all do think differently and we show up differently, and we need to all respect that. This is my judginess coming through, or I have rules and expectations that I bring to the world. Knowing and understanding our own strengths has allowed me to understand that other people are coming to the table with their own ideas. And I need to respect that and honor that and allow them to do it their way. And maybe they could teach me how to do it their way, and I could teach them why I do it my way. So it's all about communication and really bringing awareness to other people with some clarity as to why we're like we are. And it gives me a vocabulary and a set of words to be able to talk about this is why I do what I do. Like I just said, I know I'm a judgy person, not in the true sense of our definition of judgy that we know, we've known forever. This is a little different definition, but I know now that I show up with a set of expectations and rules that I have in the past tried to throw at other people. And then when they didn't respond in a positive way, I would get really triggered because I forgot to tell them that I have this set of rules and expectations in my head. And that caused me lots of frustration and aggravation in the past. But now that I understand that, I am learning to communicate those expectations and those rules. So that's all I have for you today. Maybe next time we'll pick a different problem and see how each domain would approach that problem. If you have an idea for a problem that you'd like us to look at from all the angles, all the different domains, please share that in the comments. Reach out to me and let me know. I would love to see what you think. If this has been useful for you, please like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Reach out to me. I love helping people tap into their own superpowers so they can leverage them and really improve their lives and make their lives happier and more full of joy. So thank you so much, my friends. I'm Teresa Lisum, and I would love to connect with you because I'm a relationship builder. See you next week. Bye-bye.